Hi everybody, I'm Dev, and in this video I'm going to be taking you guys through this game that I made. Well, can't really call it a game, but I'm going to be taking you through this game that I made for a game jam known as the Juniper Dev Very Serious Game Jam, in which I entered. And firstly, right off the bat, I want to say that I originally wasn't even going to join this game jam because I thought I've only joined one game jam in my lifetime, and that was the Jacksepticeye Septiceye game jam, and I was not a fan of the process because it was like very, very stressful, and I prefer to make my projects when it comes to, taking my time rather than rushing through the making process in like a bloody week. So I thought I was not comfortable with doing another game jam, but then I saw Juniper Dev's video announcing the theme of the jam, which was spin to win, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make something. It probably will be absolutely garbage, absolutely ass, absolutely trash, but I'm gonna make something. And I'm gonna just put it out there and just see how people find it. So I decided to make it, and I don't know if other people did it this way, but when I plan my games, my projects, my games, I just sort of like note down in like a notes app the route that I'm gonna take it. So I like sort of say what the layout is going to be like, and like what the player is going to be doing. And I mean, I'm sure that other people will do the same thing, just slightly differently, because maybe they've got like certain game mechanics that they want to put into it. I don't know, but I just put it into my notes that you're going to be doing this thing and this thing is going to happen. The only way for me to make a game now is for me to have a fairly solid plan in place so that I can sort of stick to that plan and not deviate from that plan just because I have a nice idea that I want to try out, because that is what ends up in scope creep. You start making something, but then you think of, oh, this is a cool idea, why not just implement this? And then you just keep on going through that cycle of doing that sort of thing, and you don't really stick to the vision that you're trying to make just because you think something's cool. You should stick to that vision, or otherwise it will take you much longer for the game to be finished. Anyway, we have the game right here, and this is technically like a start screen. There is no actual start screen, but I allow people to sort of, configure your settings. And in Godot, this is actually a plugin called Universal Settings Menu. And I know that it looks very, very like, I don't know, generic and basic, but here's the thing. Throughout every single thing in your game, the one thing that I feel like should be passed as something generic is the settings, because the settings is like the place where you should put the least amount of effort into, because it's just like copy paste from each project. So if it looks very, very basic, then I do not mind in the slightest. The main menu itself, or the pause menu, give it some flair. Don't make it too basic, just, give it some flair, but the settings menu can be as basic as it can get. I mean, it can be a bit jarring as to how basic it can be in like certain projects, but sometimes, less is more. And because I personally just don't like doing the settings or setting up the settings constantly in each game project, I just use a universal settings menu. And to be fair, this does actually work quite well because it sort of detects specific things within like the rendering of the game. So if you've got specific things enabled, it will detect that. If you have specific things disabled, it will also detect that. It's basically an adaptive settings menu, which I appreciate. And of course, I actually added this blue background because like it originally was, transparent. Now, not that I have anything against transparency. When it comes to presentation, I like to sort of control the transparency. I don't like the transparency to be, just, on by default. So, yeah, that's the settings menu. And yeah, this start screen is very, very basic. Once again, I just wanted to make this start screen just to, help people boot up their game. Because I've seen people have some issues with games when you're booting it up and you can't really fix the resolution or the full screen windowed mode. So I put this start screen here just to, help you along the way. And one thing that I forgot to do with this game jam is make a web version, a HTML version. I made a HTML version of my previous game program thing, which was it was called Haunted or Haunt 3D, and I made a HTML version of that because I wanted as many people as possible to be able to access the game, but I forgot to do it this time, and I feel like that was not very good when it comes to people trying out the game and rating it, because if people can't download the game or open up the game, boot up the game, if they can't do that, then they have the web version to fall back on, and this time you did not have the web version to fall back on, unfortunately. And I would have loved to update the game with the HTML version, but I can't update the game until the voting ends. But I think by the time this video comes out, the voting will have ended, and I would have updated the game page with all of the decent stuff. So please do, if anybody's watching this video, please do check out the game link in the description, comments, wherever it is. Please check out the game link and check out the game. It may not be the best game you've ever seen in your life, but it's a game jam game. Plus, I wanted to put not much effort into it, but I also put I put quite a bit of effort into it, but not in the areas where it might matter. Anyway, I'm just going to continue the game because I've spent 10 minutes just literally talking about the game and not actually going through the game. But of course, please do check out the game, and I don't know, if you're worried about spoilers, check out the game and then come back here once you've, gone through the game, just so that you don't get, any spoilers. So, anyway, continue on. So we are here.
Why, hello there. I'm definitely not a voice you recognize, but, screw that voice. I'm never doing that voice ever again. Anyways, hello and welcome to this small program. Your task here is to get through these levels by obtaining whatever is necessary to progress these levels. It's that simple, really. There is nothing more, nothing less to it. Now hop to it.
Now, with that voice, I don't actually know if people will clock on that I try to sort of mimic Markiplier's Warstash voice. I don't know if people will clock onto that. I don't think people will, but if they do, then that's awesome, but I don't think people will. And also, because that dialogue was playing, I actually slowed down the player's speed in this area whilst the dialogue is playing, because there is a literal keycard over here, and if I kept the player's speed normal, you would literally, you might pick up the keycard if you knew how to do that, and you would skip that dialogue. So that's why I slowed down the player's speed. But let's go ahead and interact with this.
Huh. That should have done something, but it seems like nothing happened. Maybe something else is needed for that button to work.
Now, to be fair, with this whole E to interact, I kind of wanted to do like a raycast so that the E to interact would disappear when you look away. Whoa, okay, I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, I wanted to have a raycast, but I felt like that would be a bit more work than I needed to do. Plus, I already did like a trigger points to make sure that it goes away anyway, and I felt like that was kind of enough. Now, when it comes to this key card, I saw like a comment saying that it would be nice to have a sort of reticle thing or something to show that you're looking at the key card, and I kind of overlooked that because I don't even know why. I just, when going through this, I felt like if you had like a way of knowing that it would take away, but sometimes it would be like a quality of life improvement if I did actually have it in. So I'm not entirely sure why I didn't have it in. Anyway, let's go ahead and pick up the key card.
Ah, so I see you have picked up a card. This card is a super particular identification neighbor card. Don't ask about where the neighbor came from, but if you find the neighbor, don't forget to say hello. Keep this card with you as it might come in handy.
To be fair, I feel like if more people played the game, they might be able to like have fun with like the narration of like, you know, the humor of the narration maybe. And also, if you hear the thing in the background, it's like a hum or like a buzz or something like that. I originally was going to keep it just completely silent, but I feel like that would make it a bit more boring, because having zero atmosphere, it can make a game like boring, but having just a slight sound in the background, it makes it feel like, well, of course not everybody will see it this way, but it makes it feel like there's something weird going on, and that there's like atmospherics that is making yourself feel weird. And plus, you're in this sort of place, this environment that just seems just weird off the get-go, because as you can see, like, there is not much sort of colour to this place, and it's not because, oh, I'm lazy with the visuals and I didn't have time to put the textures in. That is not the case in the slightest. Even from the very, very beginning, I envisioned this as it is. I wasn't even planning on putting any textures in, like, at all. This is exactly how I envisioned it, because it's like a sort of a liminal out of world environment, like an isolated environment, like the backrooms, but the backrooms has got texture. This just does not have texture because it's just so outside the realm of like any sort of world that you're used to, and this is just such an unknown environment. But of course, people will probably not pick up on this, and that's completely fair enough. It's really, really difficult to convey all of this throughout this environment because people will have different interpretations of the environment, and that's what I love about like games that are made. When you have like dialogue that is explaining what is happening, what you're doing, and what the environment is, that's a bit too much of telling the audience everything. But when you have like nothing and it's just this environment, it makes your mind wonder what is happening. Now, of course, because it's a game jam game, people are just gonna, whiz through it and not really have much thought about it, because all of their thoughts might just allude to how much fun they're gonna have with the game, or what game mechanics are gonna be in there, how's the visuals, how's the audio. They're not really gonna think about like the artistic intention towards the game, which is completely fair enough. And if people say that this game is trash or garbage, then that's their opinion of it. I don't really care all that much. I mean, if they've got like constructive criticism to say that, oh, this mechanically could have been better, or the audio could have been a bit better, the visuals could have been a bit better, fair enough. I will take those criticisms into consideration. But when it comes to artistic integrity, I just don't really care that much about what people will say. People will have their own opinions, people will have their own viewpoints. It is what it is, and it's literally just like the same with video making. You can make the most artistic type of video, and yet people will still probably call it like garbage, because there wasn't enough like flashy editing in it for my dopamine brain, or I don't know. I just think that as much as this was a game jam game and made it within a week, I put a lot of effort into making the game more narratively and atmospheric focused. Even though there's not much narrative in it, but I tried to make it as much narrative and atmospheric focused as possible. And also, because it's spin to win, I tried to put it in the most metaphorical way, but also very, very literally way as well at the same time. So you've got different layers. And one thing I want to say is, when making this, I'm kind of hoping that Juniper Dev will play it on like a stream or something, but unfortunately, because of how many games that have been submitted, and because my one does not even have that many ratings, which is completely fair enough, I wasn't expecting it to have that many ratings, and because it's got like a very, very simple thumbnail, literally just a tick, because the game's name is A Simple Succession, and I just put, the succession in the thumbnail as a tick, because I didn't really know what I could have put the button in the thumbnail, but I also put the button in one of the screenshots on the game page, so I didn't really want to copy that. So yeah, I just put a tick in the thumbnail instead. And one other thing I want to mention is that we're gonna go ahead and use this and spinny thing to do this. And we're gonna now teleport into this room. Now, before we continue, there are like other rooms that we teleport into later on, and I want to say that originally this was going to be one huge map, but I realized later down the line in development that having it as one huge map caused so many complications. I mean, it's fine if you've got a lot of time to hurdle your way through the complications, but because this was literally a week of development time, I thought, nah, I can't do this. So I literally copied I duplicated the maps, the levels, the scenes, and just deleted what I didn't need in that specific scene, and that proved much more easier for development. And I feel like this goes to show that when you're trying to make a massive like open world thing, not always the greatest idea, because it causes so many complications. I mean, it's good for innovation, and it's good to be like impressive with what the engine can do, but it's just not ideal because it causes so many complications. And now let's go ahead and pick up this key card. And I just love how I could have, animated that, but it was getting towards the end of the jam period of making it. It was getting towards the end of the week, and I did not really have much time left to do it. So yeah, I just made that disappear. But as you can see, like the whole like wow thing when I pick up the key card doesn't happen anymore, because I wanted that to be like a one-time thing only, like, that sort of first time using it. With that whole like spin thing, I actually kind of got that idea from another project that I was kind of in the process of making. It hasn't gotten that far yet, but the project was the idea of hold to, well, it's like holding a key or press and hold a key to progress, rather than pressing and then instantly progress. Because I don't even know why games do it nowadays. Like I swear you see almost every single game in the AAA space do this now, where you press like a button and you literally have to hold it down, maybe just for like, I don't know, half a second, maybe for a second, maybe even for 2 seconds, for it to do something. I don't even know why you would do that. Like, why do you require to hold down a button for a progress bar to do its thing in order for you to do an action? I mean, I can understand if you're streaming a level, in an open world game, you're streaming a level, and so you have to hold it down for that level to stream in. I can understand that to an extent, but the fact that it happens to every single action you do in a AAA game, it's just like, why? Yeah, I know it's a nitpick, and it's not that big of a deal, but why? So I kind of wanted to make a game that sort of annoys people about it, and then in the end it sort of turns around, because once you do it so many times and then you get annoyed by it, you sort of switch on like a machine, and then afterwards you start doing the same thing, and instead of holding down, it just happens instantly. And it's like that sort of revelation that once you've gotten through the rough of holding down to make an action happen, it then gets smoother by things happening instantly. That's kind of what I wanted to do, but I haven't even done it with the game yet. Alright, let's teleport to the next stream now. And I like this sort of like a black screen parts, because yeah, so that's meant to be like an elevator. I tried to make that obvious because, it's elevator music. So I tried to make it obvious that you're in an elevator. I don't know if that was translated well for people, but hey ho. But yeah, with the black screen, I like having that addition because it adds a layer of strangeness to it. Because like, usually when you're transitioning, it's like a fade to black, or like it has like a a smooth transition. But when you just like cut to black for a few seconds and then it comes back to something else, it adds that layer of, as I said, strangeness and weirdness, and it's like very unconventional, very non-traditional. And that's what I want to try and do, in more of my game projects, and hopefully my game projects reaches a lot of people. I just don't like following tradition, because I feel like following tradition is the same as like, following a formula. And if you follow a formula, people will catch on, and it's very patternistic, and I like to try to stand out as much as possible.
Seriously? It's just this small linear room? I cannot believe the level design got this basic. I mean, you should still have that card with you, right? Go on then, use it.
I love how I was sort of poking fun at myself.
Seriously?
Oh, what?
It's just this small linear room?
Hold on.
Seriously?
Okay, I'm surprised. I'm very surprised by that. Because I specifically remember putting this sort of trigger into here, and I made it so that in the code, once you pass through the trigger, that it would delete itself. But apparently, I'm pretty sure I did that. Like with every single trigger, I've done that. So I'm not sure why it's. But okay. But I also just wanted to say that with that whole dialogue, I am so glad that I know how to sort of do that now. Because what I used to do is when you've got voices, when you've got voice narration, if you've got subtitles on, that is, I used to in the code write out all of the dialogue for the voice, and then I would literally have to take so much time just to sync it up with the voice. But because I use an animation player in Godot, I was able to sort of play the audio and then sort of change the text based on that, rather than doing it in the code, which takes so much longer. So I'm glad I can actually do it this way. It's just so much easier. And now I'm gonna be entering an area where something is happening.
Oh god, he's following me. Quick, use this gun, load this card and shoot him.
There we go.
Well, I guess you just sent your neighbor to the back rooms. Right, where were we?
You know what? I have to admit that when trying to program that gun and shooting that thing out of the gun and into Shrek, shooting the thing took so much time, because one thing I don't really like doing when it comes to programming, I don't like programming movement. I like to sort of, when it comes to movement or something, or rotation or something, I just copy code. I know that you're not really learning how to program that part of the code, but I know how to program, I don't know, a lot of things, but when it comes to movement and rotation and even physics, no, I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna copy code and paste. So the gun shooting the projectile out of it was probably the most stressful part. And I know that I could have just, clicked my mouse and Shrek would just go down, shooting at him, but I was so stubborn and deterministic just to get a projectile shooting out, a sort of a sci-fi gun. I wanted to do that, and so I was so stubbornistic to do that, and I'm glad I did it. But goodness me, that was stressful as hell. And if you also heard when Shrek was chasing you, that was the Sonic.exe chasing music. Again, it's just something that I had in my plan, and I wanted to stick to my plan. So it's not because I couldn't find any other chase music, it's just because it's what I had in my head for what I wanted the chase music to be. And I think this is going to be the next part, right? Yeah, okay, that's a bit louder. Yeah. And yeah, this is the Hello Neighbor chase music. Okie dokie. And I don't know if people are. Well, you know what? Oh, okay. And effects music. When it comes to the tree, because I didn't really use any form of AI path finding for it to come to you, I literally just this simple function like a move to the player. That's literally it. I made the tree look at the player and move towards the player. That's literally it. And because when you're going around the corner, the tree can't go around the corner by itself. So when you pass through a trigger point, it would spawn behind you or teleport behind you so they can keep on chasing you. And that's why it looks like there's an actual AI following you, but there isn't. I just made it look like it, and that's the magic of like game development. You can make something look like really sort of professional, but it's like kind of basic, behind the scenes, and that's just what I love about it. And I think we're actually going towards the end of the game now. So yeah, this is not a long game in slightest. It's a pretty short game, to be fair, but you kind of expect that when it comes to game jam games, so it's not like that surprising.
Alright, so you finally made it to the end. That wasn't so bad, was it? I mean, you only got chased by some entities of anomalous and random recursion, but the main thing is, you survived. By spinning, in fact. Who knew spinning doesn't just cause you to nauseate and lose sense of direction? You got through that, and still has some sense. I think. Well, whatever the case, let's have an overview of what you just went through.
And there you have it.
Oh well, would you look at that? That is just icing on the cake. Wasn't sure why the buttons needed you to hold down to use them, but at least you progressed. Now off you pop, you've completed your task.
I gotta admit, as much as this was pretty basic, I'm still very, very proud of what I made here. What do you mean they escaped? That can't happen, you know that. There's a reason why they were there in containment. You do realize that we now have to reset the program because you couldn't do your job properly. If you can't do your job this music is from Undertale Yellow.
Replaced.
I don't care if you were told to do it. I didn't give you permission to carry out that order. Now get out of here. I need to reset this program effective immediately.
Yeah, the reason why I added that, it wasn't because there's some huge lore or story behind it. There could be, but that's not why I did it. I did it mostly just because the game jam required some, seriousness, and I wanted to add that bit of seriousness to the game because the game itself has some humor in it, but I wanted to add that as a sprinkle of seriousness into the game, so that's why I sort of added that. And I love this music. It's so bitten. I absolutely love it. I'd say that I feel like my specialty when it comes to game development is sound engineering and maybe sound design, because sound engineering and sound design it falls under music placement, which type of music fits the environment, fits the vibe, and also what sounds to use and how best to use the sounds in the given scenario. So I think, yeah, sound engineering and sound designing is probably my specialty, and also I think narration as well, kind of, because one thing I like is I like narrative-driven games, and I also just like point-and-click games as well, because whilst I like, first-person games, third-person games, and, platformer games, point-and-click games add a layer of, you see the world, but you only see the world through a specific lens, and it's that sort of filmography. It's because films have the you're seeing the world through a specific lens, the director's lens. I like having that sort of lens in games because you are kind of controlling what people see rather than people controlling what they want to see. Now, I know that might go against player perspective, but I kind of prefer the director's point of view rather than my own point of view. I know that sounds a bit strange to say, but credits. Yeah, so I was going to put this on the actual itch.io game page, but I didn't want to like spoil the experience, so I put it here instead, and I think that's just a great use of it. And I also put this here as well because, you know, if people like the game, then they can check out my other games. Then again, most of my other games have been either not great or, you know, made in Unity, and I'm trying to, you know, get back to that game dev groove of, you know, using Godot and making actually decent games. So yeah, that was a simple succession. And yeah, I'm just very, very proud of this. And I just realized credits is all in caps and quit is not all in caps. Very consistently. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and Juniper Dev, if she for whatever reason decides to actually play this, or even see this video, I do hope that you enjoyed this. Once again, I was not planning on actually joining this game jam at first, but I thought, screw it, let's just make something and see how it goes. And I put more effort than I originally intended into this project, and I mean, even if people rate it low, it's not going to defeat how I perceive this game, because despite it being very, very, very basic, it's just one of the games where I'm proud of the direction it went to. I put it through, and I think that defeats any and all like negativity. That's what I think anyway, because I will not let any negativity cloud my view of this game. Even if people are saying, oh, this could be improved, that could be improved, which I can consider, but they will never ever cloud my perception of this. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Hope you everyone enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.